Spooky season is here and I am all for it, and sure, the pumpkin spice lattes and leaf peeping is attractive, but what really makes me feel human are stories of the paranormal. So this is a little bit off the beaten path of my typical real estate related videos, but maybe you can use this to your advantage. For example, your Airbnb could be themed eerie or creepy to attract those who ghost hunt. The riches are in the niches, or is it niches? I don't actually know. But anyways, let's go into the creepiest places all around the Denver area, starting with the Denver International Airport. I mean, when you really look at the footprint of DIA, or Denver International Airport, it's massive, like 52 square miles, bigger than some major US cities, including Boston, Miami, and San Francisco. And there are some speculations that it's massive because there are tunnels built under all that square mileage, but where do these tunnels lead? Supposedly, the tunnels lead to the survival bunkers for the rich and elite, military bases, and homes for aliens and lizard people. But when reporters and people that are genuinely curious ask what the tunnels are used for, the airport says that it's used for baggaging systems. Typical story, right? Another sort of creepy factoid about DIA is this massive blue horse with glowing red eyes immediately outside of DIA named Blucifer. Blucifer is kind of a weird sculpture to have, introducing people to the Denver area and also guiding people outside of the Denver area. It almost looks satanic, and there's a lot of conspiracies behind Blucifer. What's not a conspiracy though is that Blucifer actually killed its original creator, adding to that haunting satanic-like look of the stallion. There are some art pieces within DIA that are odd and foreboding, like these two massive murals by Leo Tanguma. These murals are theorized to foretell the actual purpose of the airport. These murals have themes of death, genocide, and even an apocalyptic new world order. That's just clearly seen in the murals. And speaking of New World Orders, in the Great Hall of DIA, there's a plaque that is dedicated to the airport. And the first name listed on the stone as a contributor is an organization called the New World Airport Commission, which doesn't seem fishy at first, but with some research, you will find that the organization never existed. And perhaps these are the guys who built the bunkers to save the elites from the apocalypse. Who knows? But interestingly enough, DIA likes to admit to the rumors rather than trying to squash them. I think it's just better publicity, right? I think it gets people to be more excited to tour the airport. One last little thing that I thought was really interesting about DIA is that it was supposed to be finished around October of 1993, but after some design changes, contract disputes, and a ton of setbacks, the opening was pushed to February of 1995. And during that time, many contractors were swapped in and swapped out during the construction. And it's thought that nobody really knows the true scope of the project because architects really wanted that way so that they can hide things within the tunnels and also within the artworks. Perhaps it is all just a plan for the New World Order. Oh, whoa, hold on a sec. I think I saw something really spooky. Actually, it's on your screen there. It looks like you have not hit the like or subscribe button yet. I heard those who watch the rest of the video without hitting the like or subscribe button get cursed for at least 7 years, and I do not want that to happen to y'all. Okay, cool. Thanks for hitting that. Back to the list. So the next on the list of one of the creepiest places in the Denver area is the Denver Children's Home. And I'm a fan of hauntings and spooky things, but when kids and the innocent youths are involved, it starts to get really creepy. Tucked away in Denver's Park Hill neighborhood stands a building with a past that's hard to ignore. The Denver Children's Home was originally named the Denver Orphans Home when it was built in 1883, and the home was built to house and care for children left without families in the young, growing city of Denver. 5 years later, after its construction in 1888, a fire on the 3rd floor took the lives of 5 children. While the Denver Orphans Home carried on the mission, the shadow of that fire never truly went away. But today, Denver Children's Home still operates as a place of care, but locals and former workers whisper that something else remains behind. Visitors have reported the faint sounds of children laughing in the empty hallways. Others say they felt small hands brush against them when no one else is there. And some staff members even refuse to be in certain rooms after dark, claiming they've seen shadows darting across the walls. Sure, a lot of these reportings could just be the imagination playing tricks, but it is a pretty dark history for the abandoned souls who used to live there. And currently, it's still active and serves the less fortunate children in need. Now, it looks like you can't tour the building as a guest looking for ghosts, but many ghost tours make a pit stop there. So if you're interested in hearing more about the history, make sure you go check them out so that you can learn a little bit more about it yourself. Next on the list is Cheeseman Park. And by day, Cheeseman Park is a beautiful green space with people running, playing volleyball, and enjoying picnics with friends. But beneath the soft lawns and blooming gardens lies a darker history, one that continues to linger. In the mid-1800s, long before the park was created, this land served as the Prospect Hill Cemetery. Over 2,000 bodies were buried there, many unidentified without proper records. When city leaders decided they wanted a park instead of a cemetery, the bodies had to be removed, and an undertaker, Edward P. McGovern, was hired to move the bodies, but he cut corners, literally, to make some money. McGovern was offered $1.90 for each box of remains he dug up. So in order to make more money, he sawed corpses into pieces, placing them into multiple coffins to save space and, like I said, to make more money. Construction crews uncovered bones while laying foundations to the park, and even today, workers occasionally stumble across fragments of coffins or human remains beneath the soil. Visitors of Cheeseman Park often report cold spots in the summer heat, and some visitors feel like they're being watched when walking alone. So next time you set out a picnic blanket at Cheeseman Park, remember the ground beneath you may still hold the unsettled dead, restless under the weight of Denver's history. Next on the list is the Croak-Patterson Mansion. Still within the city of Denver limits, just a couple of blocks away from Cheeseman Park, the Croak-Patterson Mansion has its own eerie past. Developed in Cap Hill, once known as Millionaire's Row, stands the Croak-Patterson Mansion. Thomas Croak built the mansion in 1891, but sold the home just after 6 months of completion after his wife and his mother died within that same time period. Many attributed the sale of the home to the deaths of his loved ones, but it was never confirmed, and others claimed the home was cursed and Croak never felt comfortable living in it. And here's the thing, if you look at how close Cheeseman Park is to the Croak-Patterson Mansion, Cheeseman Park, you know, the one with the severed bodies underneath? Yeah, that's less than a mile away. The house was then passed on to Thomas Patterson, a US senator and publisher of the Rocky Mountain News, but no owner, no tenant, or no guest would escape its strange disturbances. People have long reported dogs barking on the second floor, believed to be spirits of 2 Dobermans who left to their deaths after being trapped on that floor. Others have reported phantom typewriters, drawers unlocking themselves, and children's cries in empty rooms. And even today, now known as the Patterson Inn, guests report cold spots, whispers, and figures drifting through the halls. More than a century after Croak abandoned his creation, the question lingers, did he sense what so many feel still? That the mansion was never meant to be just a home, but a dwelling for the restless dead? Who knows? You might have to find out for yourself. Of course, we cannot complete this video if we don't talk about Brown Palace Hotel in the heart of downtown in 1892. What's up with these 1800s homes that get extra haunted? What happened in the late 1800s? Why don't we have new builds that are haunted? That's kind of crazy to me. Anyways, the Brown Palace Hotel was built as a showpiece of elegance and unknowingly a showpiece for the unexplained. For a century, guests and staff have reported phantom music drifting through empty hallways and the sound of laughter from parties that ended decades ago. A baby's cry was often heard in the boiler room, but no baby was found, obviously. And if you're interested in the most haunted room in the hotel, visit room 904. Louise Crawford Hill, a Denver socialite, resided at the Brown Palace Hotel from 1940 to 1955, and there are not many details of her life in that room, but it's known that she suffered a severe heartbreak while she lived in there. Fast forward when the 9th floor was being renovated, phone lines, electricity, and furnishings were removed from that room. And strangely, calls still came in from room 904 to the hotel switchboard and lobby, and whenever someone tried to answer the call, they would only hear cold static. From the restless spirits of Cheeseman Park to the cursed halls of the Croak-Patterson Mansion to the shadowy conspiracies beneath DIA, Denver's story is more than just mountains and sunshine. It's a city layered with secrets, and I think that's what makes this city so interesting. Sure, it might be typecasted as a place for millennials to find themselves and the regular hikers to escape reality, but these stories prove that Denver's more complex than that. Nonetheless, this was a lot of fun to make. I love doing research on this stuff, especially on the paranormal. If you're interested in hearing more stories and happenings around Denver, make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, especially if you lasted this long throughout the video. Truly appreciate you watching all the way through. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I will see you next week.